Hey, really glad you joined in and hope you're doing well. Today, I wanted to talk about getting out of the victim role, which for me has given me so much freedom. But it was difficult because I felt righteous in that victim mode. I felt like I was entitled to that victim mode, and it was really hard, especially initially, to wake up to the fact that I wasn't going to be able to move forward in that victim mode and really open to the expansiveness of what was in front of me, what opportunities came my way, and what was possible. And I'll just talk about the initial victim mode. The biggest one was becoming really responsible for my experience as a child growing up in a very challenging home. And when I became an adult and was living on my own, it didn't take very long to start reenacting similar behaviors that I noticed from my childhood, recreating drama, recreating tension, recreating a sense of not knowing, being off balance, drinking to help soothe my anxiety, drinking or eating at someone, expecting that they were going to receive the suffering as a result. So, waking up to the victim role that I was playing was essential, but it really threw me into a rage because here I was, and now I'm the one that has to clean up this mess of victimhood, of the childhood that was didn't seem fair, quite honestly. And so, really standing up and taking responsibility and becoming willing to do the inner work that I needed to do, I needed to take a look at myself. I needed to look clearly at the dynamics and see them for what they were and define the roles that my family members played very well, honestly. When I take a look back at it now and can see it for what it was, I have an appreciation because it's created the pathway for me to become the person that I am today. And I have a lot of compassion and I have a lot of empathy for all of my family members and for the experience we were all creating together. So I really want to put in a plug for the ability to surrender to whatever the belief is inside of you as far as another system, another individual, a family member, historically, what's been true, just to really stand up to it and take a look at it from your own point of view and surrender the victimhood. In my belief, once I was willing to really surrender that, and I've had to do it over and over and over again, especially when I've been in scenarios that seem completely inequitable and totally unjust, to really surrender into, well, that is the truth. That is the truth of this experience. And I can either expand the drama and expand my being the victim, or I can stand up. And here's the magic word: take responsibility for myself, regardless of what happened. Take responsibility for myself. And that meant going inside, really taking an inventory, really writing about the scenario that had me held in victim. And then maybe sharing that with somebody else that I trusted. I mean, reading it out loud if I had to, but really the community of sharing it with either a group or a friend, an associate that I trusted, a spiritual figure that I was working with, really sharing that halved the weight, just cut it right in half at least, and then eased up the trapped emotions that were in my body. For me, I kept my emotions in little compartments and buried them deep. So it was hard to ferret them out because I had also layered addictions over those compartments, over exercising, denying when it was just as easy to tell the truth. So I had to really be honest and really take a hard look, and letting those compartments air out and get light really released so much that I was holding. And I felt better. I started to function better. I felt more in community than separate, isolated, and apart from. And it opened true compassion towards myself. I think the greatest practice I had, probably not playing victim, not allowing myself to really delve too deep into the victimhood, were when my relationships would end. It was really easy to play out victim. But each time a relationship would end, if I was willing to step out of victim, I learned a little bit more about my role and my participation and what I was playing out. And I could see it more clearly. And this would build up, and this would give me compassion for myself, even when the scenario seemed completely unjust and inequitable. And maybe it was. But ultimately, if I stayed in that victim, if I continued to throw hatred towards my ex-partner, that would only ricochet right back on me and keep me stuck. And honestly, the way I had to look at it was the best justice I could receive after surviving some of these relationships I did was to live well, was to honor myself and find compassion. And this came from my heart. It didn't come from my head. That's so much of where I've been trying to go into my head, figure it out. How am I going to get back at this person for victimizing me? As soon as I could drop those scenarios and really go into my heart and find compassion for myself, and ultimately, and probably down the road a ways, find compassion for the victimizer. That's when my soul would evolve. And that's when transformation would come in. And that's when change for the better would happen. And little miracles kept popping up. And once I could build a string of these experiences, this is the way that I've chosen now to live my life. It saves me time, it saves me illness, it saves me frustration, it saves me wrinkles. And ultimately, it's created a better human within me, one that's more connected to my purpose here as I'm on earth. And I hope you resonate with that. Let me know in the comments. And if you have a story you could share about how you get out of victimization, I'd love to hear all about it. My website is susangold.us and my email is info@susangold.us. Because remember, you and me, we are in this together. Take good care, and I'll see you next time.